animal breeding systems. One of the goals of a livestock producer is to raise animals that generate large numbers of high-quality offspring. By using genetic principles in animal breeding, producers have been able to increase the productivity of food and fiber-producing livestock species. Genetics is the study of heredity, which is the transmitting of characteristics from parents to offspring. These characteristics, or traits, are controlled by the genes on an organism's chromosomes. Chromosomes come in pairs, one from the mother and one from the father. So each trait in the offspring is controlled by a gene from the mother and one from the father. We call these alternative gene forms alleles. Eye color in this llama was determined by the alleles it received from its mother and father. Alleles are found at the same location on chromosome pairs. Each allele is expressed as either dominant or recessive. For each gene, an uppercase letter is used to represent the dominant allele, and a lowercase letter is used to represent the recessive allele. If brown eye color is the dominant allele in llamas, then we represent it with a capital B, and if blue eye color is recessive, then we represent it with a lowercase b. When two dominant alleles combine for color, then that dominant color trait is expressed. We call this a homozygous dominant genotype. If two recessive alleles combine, then the recessive color trait is expressed. We call this a homozygous recessive genotype. If one dominant and one recessive allele combine, then the dominant trait masks the recessive trait, so that the dominant color trait is expressed. We call this a heterozygous genotype, because the two alleles are different. Though it makes for a clear example, eye color isn't high on the livestock producer's list of important characteristics. In beef cattle, milking ability, rate of weight gain, slaughter weight, carcass quality grade, yield grade, and tenderness of meat are just some of the traits that are passed on from generation to generation. Livestock breeding programs are based on the genetic relationships between animals that are bred together. Knowledge about the genes of a mating pair is key to predicting traits in offspring. Geneticists study genes and how they interact with each other. They may be employed by private agricultural corporations, universities, or private research centers to do this research. Careers in animal behavior, pathology, zoology, veterinary medicine, breeding, and livestock production all require some knowledge of genetics. Knowledge about male genetics is extremely important in a breeding program. In one reproductive cycle, each female will pass her genes onto one offspring in the herd. In that same reproductive cycle, the bull will pass his genes onto all the offspring in the herd. In cowman's terms, a good bull is one half the herd. A bad bull is all of it. It is impossible for producers to improve the quality of their livestock if they don't know what they are capable of producing. Record keeping is key to livestock improvement. There are two main systems of breeding: inbreeding and outbreeding. Inbreeding involves the mating of closely related animals. An example would be breeding a bull with one of his daughters. Inbreeding increases homozygosity for desired traits. As closely related animals are bred together, they begin to share more homozygous gene pairs, and variation decreases. Homozygous gene pairs breed true for those traits. As homozygous dominant pairs increase, so do homozygous recessive pairs. This causes an increase in the expression of detrimental recessive traits. An inherited recessive defect that occurs in some beef cattle is hydrocephalus. Calves are born with excessive fluid in their brain cavities, which causes them to die within days of birth. Animals that carry this recessive trait have to be identified and eliminated from the breeding herd. Inbreeding has to be closely controlled so that the expression of these types of undesirable genes is kept to a minimum. Remember that only some homozygous recessive gene pairs result in detrimental traits. In cattle, both horns and red coat color are the result of homozygous recessive gene pairs. Linebreeding is a mild form of inbreeding, in which a high genetic relationship is maintained by mating animals that have a common and usually outstanding ancestor. Linebreeding is generally used to fix or emphasize a specific trait, such as high milk production. Outbreeding involves the mating of animals not closely related compared to the average of the population. This includes outcrossing, crossbreeding, and even species cross. Outcrossing is the mating of animals that belong to the same breed but are from different bloodlines. Outcrossing is used to incorporate desirable traits found in other bloodlines or families. Crossbreeding is the mating of animals from two different breeds. For example, the Brangus breed was formed by the mating of an Angus and a Brahmin. The Angus breed is known for the high quality of meat, while the Brahmin breed is known for its heat and humidity resistance. Crossbreeding the Angus and Brahmin results in a new breed that has the desired qualities of both breeds. Species cross is the mating of different animal species, such as crossing a donkey with a horse to get a mule. It is important to note that mating of different animal species is not common, among other things because of differences in number of chromosomes. The offspring of a species cross will usually be infertile. Another example of species cross is crossing cattle with buffalo to produce beefalo. It takes many generations to get a fertile bull cross that can be mated with a bovine cow to get true beefalo, which are 3/8 bison and 5/8 bovine. All these forms of outbreeding produce offspring that have more heterozygous gene pairs, so outbreeding increases heterozygosity. When the performance of the offspring population is superior to that of the parent population, then the outbreeding has produced hybrid vigor, or heterosis. Performance improvements might include improved gain, improved milking or mothering ability, improved heat and cold tolerance, or improved reproductive efficiency. And now, let's explore the core. Beef cattle of European ancestry are either horned or polled, which means they don't have horns. This trait is determined by one pair of genes. The polled gene, capital P, is dominant, and the horned gene, lowercase p, is recessive. We can see that this cow is horned, so we know its phenotype is horned. Horned is homozygous recessive, so we also know its genotype. The phenotype of an organism is the physical appearance, or what you see. The genotype is the actual genetic makeup. You can't always determine an animal's genotype from its phenotype. If an organism has a recessive phenotype, we can determine its genotype. But if the phenotype is dominant, we can't always be certain. In some breeds of beef cattle, the horned gene is considered a defect. Producers don't want to use a heterozygous polled bull for mating. The best test to see if a bull is heterozygous polled is to mate it with a horned female. If the bull produces even one horned offspring, then it's heterozygous. Let's take a look at a Punnett square to see why this test works. We use a Punnett square to predict traits in offspring that result from parent gene combinations. We know that the female is homozygous recessive, so we can put in her genes. Let's see what offspring we can predict when the female is mated to a homozygous dominant male. The offspring produced by these, the combination of homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive, would all have a heterozygous genotype, and their phenotype would be polled. What happens if we put in a heterozygous polled genotype for the male? So, a heterozygous polled male has a 2 in 4 or 50% chance of producing horned offspring. If the polled bull were mated with 4 horned females, the breeder would have a better chance of seeing this trait show up in the first or F1 generation. Today's SAT word is variation. A variation is a difference in structure or character from others in the same group. In the lesson, we learned that inbred lines breed true for their many homozygous traits, because variation, or difference in structure and character, decreases with increased homozygosity.